it and agreed. It is a pity that he is deviating from this principle now. He made his first official visit to the Kyrgyz Republic in 1998 after the end of the bloody civil war in Tajikistan. Later, two bilateral interstate agreements were concluded between the Kyrgyz Republic and the Republic of Tajikistan. The agreement on basic interstate relations of July 12, 1996, and the agreement on good neighborly and partnership relations of May 26, 2004. I want to note that both agreements were signed in Dushanbe. Dear Mr. President, from the very beginning of work on settlement of border issues between our two states, the Kyrgyz side has always acted in full compliance with its international obligations, including bilateral ones, conducted negotiations in a constructive manner, offering mutually beneficial compromise. I would like to note that in April 2021, the armed forces of Tajikistan launched an unjustified and provoked large-scale aggression against the territory of the Kyrgyz Republic, killing 36 citizens and causing serious material damage. Although my decision to meet the President of the Republic of Tajikistan in Dushanbe was heavily criticized by the Kyrgyz people, who demanded that I meet in a natural location. Nonetheless, I flew to Dushanbe and met with Mr. President Rahmon in June last year to try and find a mutually beneficial solutions to the border issues. For the sake of my people, I am ready to spend not only 10 hours on negotiations as on that day, but to spend as much time as possible to solve this issue once and for all. Of course, whatever the solution, it should be mutually beneficial. It is all more painful for me to report that on September 14th, 15th, and 16th of this year, large-scale clashes took place in the south of Kyrgyzstan. Despite all previous negotiations agreements, the Tajik side with ill intention attacked the border and civilian objects along the entire perimeter of the Kyrgyz-Tajik state borders. About 140,000 of our civilians have been evacuated from the border settlements. They are now being provided with necessary assistance. In this regard, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the UN system, our friends and partners for their solidarity and support. Great material damage was caused to civilian and military facilities, houses, administrative buildings, schools, frontier posts. Be what may, any material damage can be restored. However, you cannot return the lives of our citizens who were fired upon and brave defenders who died fighting for their homeland and sacrificed their lives. We will never forget the bravery of our courageous soldiers. We are deeply saddened by the unjustified armed aggressions by Tajikistan, even though there are international agreements and obligations that have been established between our countries. Pacta sunt servanda, Latin for agreements must be kept, as the saying goes. We are ready to continue the negotiation process in any format with our Tajik neighbors through civilized and legal ways. Taking into account that our trust has been weakened by the recent lawless actions of our neighbor, we are ready to continue negotiations and welcome mediation efforts by the international organizations, including the UN, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, and the Collective Security Treaty Organization. We have documented evidence of the previous years and yesterday's illegal and ill-intentioned actions of the Tajik side. We are never the first one to start and never will. We always try to avoid using weapons and even more so never shoot at unarmed civilians. We are always forced to respond accordingly and adequately to the aggression of the Tajik side. In this regard, I would like to emphasize the following. The Kyrgyz side does not claim foreign lands, nor does it intend to give a centimeter of its land to anyone. We are convinced that all border and internal issues should be resolved over the negotiation table, and there is such will and readiness on our part. The most important issue today is the adoption of urgent measures to ensure security and stability in the border areas, stop any actions aimed at increasing tensions among the local population, and strengthen the trust between our two states. We are always ready for negotiations and clarification of our borders. Dear Mr. President, regarding the general UN issues, I would like to note the following. This year, as half of the implementation period of the UN Sustainable Development Goals until 2030 has passed, and we can now objectively look at the real situation we have at hand. The adoption of the SDGs in 2015 under the motto "Leave no one behind" was a bright example of the constructive negotiation capacity of the world community in the interests of all of us and subsequent generations. Meanwhile, it has already become obvious that due to objective circumstances, including due to the coronavirus pandemic, the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals in developing countries, including our country, has slowed down. And without adequate international funding, many of them may not even achieve the critical indicators of the SDGs. On my part, I want to confirm the firm commitment of the Kyrgyz Republic to the SDGs and their gradual implementation, taking into account the national capacity. I believe that our country's own potential should be the main source and engine for sustainable development. For this purpose, our efforts are aimed at achieving an accelerated and qualitative growth of the economy, including through mutually beneficial regional and international trade and investment cooperation. For example, Kyrgyzstan actively participates in the integration and cooperation processes, including the Eurasian Economic Union and the One Belt, One Road initiative of the People's Republic of China. On my part, I want to confirm the firm commitment of the Kyrgyz Republic to the SDGs and their gradual implementation, taking into account national capacity. I believe that our country's own potential should be the main source and engine of sustainable development. For the purpose, achieving an accelerated, for example, Kyrgyzstan, our esteemed neighbors, the country is actively developing the locomotive of green economy. Hydropower industry, small, medium and sized hydropower plants are being put into operation. Our esteemed neighbors, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, will participate in the construction of the largest hydroelectric power station, Khambarata, because this will strengthen the energy security and optimize the use of our water resource in the region. In general, I want to note the spirit of unity, understanding, trust and support, which was demonstrated in the city of Cholpon-Ata 2 months ago when the fourth consultative meeting of the heads of states of Central Asia was held under the chairmanship of Kyrgyzstan. I hope that the signing by all parties of the Cholpon-Ata Agreement on friendship, good neighborliness and cooperation for the development of Central Asia in the 21st century will open a new page in our interstate relations. We are committed to continuing work in this format. Dear Secretary General, dear ladies and gentlemen, at the end of my speech, I want to assure you that Kyrgyzstan fully supports the UN as the only universal structure authorized by all of us, the member states of the UN, to solve the challenges faced by humanity. I hope that UN will continue to properly perform all its functions and its assist member states in overcoming challenges and solving urgent global problems. I urge all member states to provide unconditional political support and solidarity to the organization in this difficult international time. Dear Mr. President, dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention.